Good morning. We're here at Cornville Regional Charter School with Travis Works, the Executive Director, and he's going to give us an updated tour. It's February 2019, and there's a lot of work that's been done here, so we're happy to have Travis invite us over. So, what's going on?
Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time to come on over and check out the building. Since we've last done a segment with you guys, we've opened up more parts of the building, and we're projected to open up a couple other sections in the next couple of months.
Very cool.
So what you're going to see today is the Fabrication Lab that's unfolding down here on the first floor.
Yep.
And then upstairs, you'll see some of the small classroom instructional spaces and kids working.
All right. Let's go see a little bit of the Fabrication Lab then.
All right, let's go on down. So what's taking place right now is that Crystal Priest, she's our building administrator, and she's also our director of IT and our Fabrication Lab facilitator. So this is kind of her area, and she right now is instructing a group of learners on safety and using some of the tools and equipment.
Cool.
So.
Right here. Make sure it's tracker it, you adjust it. And then it works really well for sitting in the slots like that.
I'm going to keep it unplugged.
It's not going to work well if I try and get a nice flat straight edge done. Little belts in. Good. Next up is jigsaw, also known as scroll saw. And it's called a jigsaw because you can actually make jigsaw puzzles. Okay? The reason it can do that is because the blade that's in here
Maybe
is
we'll come
tiny.
back when she's using the...
Okay, this is one of our learners, Noah Cole. He's been with us at Cornville Regional Charter School for several years, and he's working on a project for Bigelow Brewery using the laser engraver.
We've been working on a bunch of stuff with this engraver, like we've been using wood, glass, plexiglass, brick, tile, and stuff. And it takes a lot of patience because you gotta do a bunch of stuff with it.
So right now you're doing these glasses for Bigelow Brewing. Did you have to do many test runs?
Yeah,
or?
a bunch of them on other glasses, pieces of wood, like this one. And until we had to scale this one down to the size of the glasses.
Yeah.
So we could actually get them perfectly lined up like that.
Yeah. All right, you want to show us a little bit of the machine? So tell us what you're doing.
First, you gotta put the glass in the rotary thing and line this piece up.
What's that you're putting on? Chisel?
Prong. It helps autofocus it so it's not too far away, not too close.
Yeah.
Once you're done, take this piece off so it doesn't fall off the plate.
And what program is it connected to?
Cornville.
And this is all stuff that you learned how to do here? So what are you flying through right there?
It's just making sure that it has the right setting so it doesn't either mess up, cut all the way through the glass, or make sure it doesn't cut not enough through the glass so you can just wipe it off.
Yeah.
So because your settings in there, you can control speed, power, and pressure. So how many pounds per inch that you put for pressure onto the object. So if you have too much pressure, it will snap and break the object. and if you have too much power, it'll burn through the object. And if it's too fast, then it's not going to actually etch it. So.
Then I was just checking to see if all the settings were right, same for the other glass.
Switch places with me. You get closer to him.
Just new collectors. Just click start and wait for it to finish.
And how old are you?
15.
Pretty cool.
And we've had kids in here, like staff kids and so forth, just using the equipment, and as young as 9 using this equipment. So.
And where are you from?
I live in Cornville.
Yep. So you're not one of the ones that traveled too far to be here.
Yeah. I live like 5 minutes away from here.
Yeah. And you went to the Cornville Elementary School?
I went there from kindergarten when it first was open before it shut down.
Yep.
And then I was there since it first opened again.
Cool.
2012 it was?
Yeah, when they opened.
And what's your favorite part about going to school here?
The favorite part about it is that it's a multiple choice school that you can to work at your pace kind of school instead of working at a teacher's pace.
Yeah.
Like if you need help, they'll help you instead of having to do it all by yourself, not having help.
And by having access to all this equipment, have you thought of ideas that you'd like to do in here yourself?
Yeah.
Just from becoming inspired by it, or?
A little bit.
Yeah. What are some ideas that you have for this type of equipment? Anything?
Not really, just making things.
Yeah, cool.
And how long have you been using this equipment, Noah? When did you guys first start?
Before Christmas break.
Yeah. So it's only been since a week before Christmas since they've actually had access to the equipment.
Yeah. So you're taking right off on it.
Yeah.
Have you used any of the other equipment that's around us? The printers and stuff?
I haven't used these printers yet because I haven't really needed anything to print.
Yeah.
I've mostly been using this thing.
Yeah. What else have you done on it?
I made my dad and my mom Christmas presents.
Cool.
I put my dad, he had a dog when he was, since he was tail owl, but he died 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So I put that onto a piece of wood and I gave that to him for Christmas.
Very cool.
And just a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Different designs and everything.
Yep.
Then you want to walk them through what you do next after you take it out?
First you're gonna shut off all this stuff.
That's the air compressor?
Yeah. So it blows air and stuff. Then you unlatch this. And then just pull it out.
Take the little bra. Saw Travis do this earlier.
Yeah, just
any excess glass or particles on there.
Yeah.
So you put that in blank and now just pull it out. And that took about
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Well, 3 minutes, 3 seconds.
And this is an order from Bigelow Brewing. You guys are doing how many of those?
98.
98. And they're going to use those in some...
They have an event this weekend up at Sugarloaf, I believe.
Yeah.
So they wanted to bring up some glasses.
So you guys are getting your work already out into the community of less than 2 months since you've had it.
Well, and the real struggle here in our area is that small businesses, for them to have access to a laser engraver, they have to order large quantities,
Right.
and that can be cost prohibitive because they've got to
Absolutely.
put in a lot of capital. And then the other piece is that with the shipping and customizing,
Yeah.
it just gets to be really difficult.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. There's a local maple syrup farm, Hawk Farm up in Madison.
Yep.
Their daughter works for us. She's a
Okay.
facilitator
Yeah.
here. They have to order
And by facilitator,
what people would call a teacher.
yeah, okay.
So it's
Just
a different
making sure. Yeah,
mind shift,
language,
different
yeah,
language.
Yeah.
When they have to order maple syrup jars that are laser etched, they have to order 500 to like 1,000 of them.
Well, yeah. If you order like business cards or any type of printing, pretty often you'll have to order like
A huge quantity.
Yeah.
So the problem is that they only sell about 150 of these glass bottles
Yep.
each year. So in order for them to use that entire quantities or order, they have to order with other partners.
Yeah.
And then their etching doesn't become customized.
Right.
It becomes a generic
Right.
etch.
Yeah.
So for what we want to do to help out local businesses such as them is that if they were able to get the bottles and we were able to teach them how to use the equipment as a community partner, then they should be able to leverage this equipment and come in themselves and make the quantities that they need.
That's
Now,
amazing.
now there's going to be some projects that our learners can benefit from and work with, but I think there's such a need in the community that it's better to teach
Sure, I
people
mean,
how to use it.
Absolutely. As soon as I was talking to people in the community about the availability of this, you have the large format Epson printer, you have the laser engraver that can do wood, brick, glass.
No, cloth.
And fleece. Yep.
A bunch of different things. People already had ideas of stuff that they wanted to bring in here. So
Well, and as I told a local contractor, if they're building a house for somebody and they take a wooden door frame, they could run the wood frame through the machine and customize it with the person's name. So that way the door frame itself or the trim work is customized to their client.
Yeah.
So, or Hammond Lumber if they had a custom order. Instead of sending stuff out to a larger company to do and with a heavy upcharge,
Right,
we
right.
could keep things local.
Yeah.
So, but we really want to support small businesses and let them see us as a community partner.
yeah, and being right here downtown, that's such a great relationship to have that you think a lot of people when the school is coming, it was like, okay, there's a school downtown, does that make sense? But
Right.
I think now seeing all this,
And that's why the location was so critical to leverage community partners.
Yep.
Because the other piece is that if we have community partners like Hawk Farms or even Bigelow Brewery, if we can also leverage their staff to come in and work with our kids. So
Yeah.
if the kids are working on a project, then we have expertise within the community that can help mentor and support those projects or offer content.
yeah.
So it becomes a breaking down the barriers that schools and communities usually end up having between the two,
Yeah.
and bringing it back to what schools were meant to be,
Right.
which is the heart of the community.
Yeah.
So
And you were telling me about classes that you're offering. If they're not full, then people from the community can actually come and
absolutely. So if we have a learning opportunity that it could be a U.S. history learning opportunity, it could be how to use the laser engraver, it could be how to build a 3D printer. If we know that, let's say our target audience is about 15, but only 10 have signed up, then we have 5 seats available that we can advertise out to our community partners.
Yeah.
And that way the community members can be learning side by side with our learners.
Yeah.
And then that way you have multi-generational folks coming to the table to
Now,
learn.
I have to ask, would there be a cost associated for a community member to take to participate in a class?
No, the only cost that we would have to get around is the criminal history background checks
Yeah.
that have to be conducted.
Right.
So there would be a whole, for security reasons, our community partners would have to go through a pre-approval process. So that way we're protecting our kids.
Yeah.
But we've thought about those different systems in place.
Yeah.
But that would be the only cost that we would have to look for funding
Yeah.
to help offset that, or work something out with those community partners.
Great.
But,
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Let's move on.
All right, so if you guys want to take a look on the upstairs.
Yeah,
so,
let's do that.
All right, thank you, Noah.
Yes. Thank
All right.
you, Noah.
So over in this area, this is a science lab area. So right now we're using it as a flexible workspace, but it's set up with the sinks for like a physics lab, and this will be closed off as a glass room eventually. So right now the kids are just working on different projects. If you look over here on the table, these are cold or storm window frames that are being constructed for the upstairs to go over some of the big windows, just to cut down on the drafts until we get window replacements.
And you told me something interesting about these frames. Do you want to tell me that again?
Well, so the frames are actually reclaimed lumber from the floor joists that we took out when we were putting in the elevator shaft or putting in new stairs. So we actually planed and sanded down the lumber. And the kids have milled that out and constructed the frames. So we're reusing some of the wood and some of the materials that we had originally reclaimed.
That's very cool.
So
And if any of you are local, where we are standing, I just had a bit of a flashback. You may have gotten your prescriptions filled. This was right where the counter
this was
for
the counter
variety
space,
drugs.
yes.
Yeah.
yeah, so
Only about 3 years ago or so, or more than that now?
2 years and 7 months ago, we toured the building. So, but I think he had moved just a year or two prior than that. But no, so this is right where the pharmacy was, and then the platform right where you would step up.
Yep.
So
yeah, so the space has come a long way in a short time. So let's take a look upstairs.
all right. Yeah, so we so you can just put the acorn right on the top.
Secret storage.
I know. I don't
Now
think
right here, the last time we were here, we would have had to have gone outside
yes,
to get upstairs.
yeah, because we had a temporary wall here.
Yeah.
And originally, when this was a variety drug, the wall was actually indented
Yep.
to this space. You can see the line on the floor.
Yep.
But we pushed it back out to the original 1905 floor
Right,
plan.
right.
So we readjusted it. So
Cool.
all right. So this is what you're going to see is the part of the second floor that we just opened up at the beginning of January 2019.
Yep.
So it's only a small section of the upstairs.
Yeah.
And this is where we have 6 or 7 classroom spaces and small learning opportunity areas for kids.
Cool.
So-
Yeah, this space is deceivingly large.
Yes.
I remember that about it.
So what you're going to notice is that the woodwork is original from 1905. There were some pieces that we had to replicate, and the contractor, B&F Construction, and Wentworth Partners, Steve Gavoni, was very diligent on keeping the historical accuracy of the building. So some of the woodwork that was replicated, you cannot tell the difference between 1905 or 19...
And Steve has been really great about doing that around quite a few different places in town. His work is really something to marvel at.
It's phenomenal, the attention to detail. And he knew that the historical preservation was a key part to us that really resonated. And that's what attracted us to using him as our engineer.
Yep.
And then Brian with his crew.
And that's
impeccable.
Brian Fregon?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Yep, from B&F.
Yep. Cool.
Contractors. So,
Yeah.
so let's come on in. So this is the hallway. In 1905, this section was for a lawyer's firm, and he would basically Ian Merrill. He had his firm up here, and then he leased the rest of the building. So, so what we did here was to strip all the carpet and come back to the original 1905 floor plan or flooring, and we're able to put the same poly that they use on the NBA courts up here.
Wow.
So this is very durable, but the sheen and the shine on it is the exact same that it would have looked in 1905.
Wow.
So if it was oil based, so they really, even down to that detail, Steve was very particular.
Yeah.
So, and then I see you looking up at the ceilings here.
Yeah, marveling at the you have the tin ceiling and the skylights.
So we unearthed or uncovered there's 5 skylights in this building, and we were actually able to uncover the original frames that went on them. So even though there's not glass on the rooftop, we were able to put these glass panels in the way that they would have looked in 1905, and then put LED lights above to give it the illusion of skylights.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Do you think you'll leave the attorney's office glass
for now? Yeah. So we haven't taken down any of those pieces until we know how we want to proceed and to preserve some of the history here. So what you're going to notice in the hallway are each of these doorways. This is a hallway leading into a classroom, but there's small little dainty hinges. And we didn't know what those were for until we started to do demolition in the courtroom. And above the judge's chambers, in that space, up above one of the ceilings were these wooden frame doors with screens in them. So they're the original frames that we can tell from early 1900s that they would have put on these door frames for screen doors.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they were tucked away. People didn't know that they were up there until we started doing the demo.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, that's what these small hinges are for. So
And
it was
I guess
a little.
They would put them up in the summer, or
Yeah, I guess to keep the flies out and open up and get a nice cross breeze. Because when we look, there's a lot of space up here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, up here, one thing I've noticed is it feels like there's a lot of natural light coming in, because you have all of Water Street with these big glass windows and then these skylights and everything. So it has a very lively, homey feel, kind of.
Yes, and with the high ceiling. So we brought the ceilings back as high as we could. So we just had to drop them, I think it was about 12 to 13 inches. Because we have the fire suppression system and other mechanical stuff. And this entire second floor has heating and cooling.
Okay, cool.
So it's climate controlled.
Yeah, cool.
So we can come down and just give you kind of a snapshot. There's each of these spaces, there's like a hallway that opens up to 2 smaller learning environments, so we can come on in. So right here we have, right now we have one of our facilitators, Ms. Fernkiss, meeting with a learner. So, and providing some learning opportunities. No, it's all right. And then take down and just, oh, they're in that space, but. So in this space, kids are working right now on some of their projects, and so Mr. Canning is our facilitator that's using this room in this space right now. So, and this is just an idea of if we didn't have a hallway or one of the office spaces that you just saw a little bit of. This is how big this area is, and there's 6 of these different spaces.
Cool.
And then in 1905, this would have been the major staircase for this floor to access the lawyer's firm. And down below, we were able to preserve the Merrill block small tiles at the very bottom. So, and originally in 1904, this was where the Coburn Hall was that burned down.
Okay.
and then they rebuilt in 1905.
Okay.
So the original floor plans, we actually found the architecture plans from 1904 to build for 1905 in one of the safes.
Wow.
So Steve Gavoni was able to scan those in. Took him several weeks and several scans, but we had the architectural plans included all the profiles for all the trim work. Every piece of wood, every type of material was listed in those plans. So when we talk about historical preservation, we're able to go right back to the original.
Yeah.
So over here, we're using this as a classroom space for right now until we open the rest of the floor. But this will become a conference room, and a really key piece for one part of our programming is that kids will create projects that will continue over multiple years, so at least a 2, maybe 4-year project where they identify a problem in the community. They have to identify a problem, and they have to come up with a solution that impacts 4 to 5 community partners. So it has to be a pretty systemic solution or impact.
And I remember you telling me about that concept before.
So that what they'll do is that they will take their projects and present them to local, state, and national audience members right in that room. Wow. So that will be a very important room for our kids to learn how to develop plans and projects, but then also to highlight or reach a wider audience.
Yeah.
And part of that project will be to identify sources of funding for those projects for 5, 10, and 15 years. So it's a sustainable project that will have an impact on the community.
Great, amazing. Now, what do you see, thinking of the future, what do you see happening on this side of the building where you're still kind of under construction a little bit and you still have more space to utilize?
Right, because when we look at this hallway space right now and the classroom spaces here, this is only about 1/3 of the floor.
Yeah.
So the entire floor is about 10,000 square feet, which, to put it in perspective, the Cornville campus, which is our main elementary campus, is 17,000 square feet, but when you take off the gym and the cafeteria, it's about 10,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So this one floor is the size of the Cornville building.
Yeah.
So people don't realize the size of this building,
like I
or the
was saying,
footprint.
when you see it from outside, it doesn't seem as big as it is when you're inside.
It's very deceiving.
Yeah.
So on this side, there'll be like a learner lounge area, or like colleges refer to them as like a student common area, where there'll be flexible seating, couches and sofas. There'll be sinks and stoves, islands and bar stools, and just an area where kids can either warm up food, they can do some cooking classes that are there, or home ec stuff, or they can just be a relaxed environment to work.
When I was at UMF, they have the landing, it's called, and it's that basically exactly what you're describing, kind of a comfortable area to do homework or trade ideas or
just have an informal meeting to work.
And would you see that type of space being used, because you said in the summer you want to open up the space so it's used 365 days a year. Is that a place where people from the community could hold space for whatever different reason, or?
Absolutely. So that's one part of the space. The second part that will be opening up, and just to backtrack a little bit, this space we're anticipating being opened up in the middle of April.
So not too far from now.
Not too far. And then by the end of the school year, we're hoping that we can open up the rest of the section, which is the largest section. It's where the courtroom was and the judges' chambers. That's our largest section. But that'll have 5 classroom spaces that are divided with folding walls like you would see at a convention center.
Right.
So we can create either 5 separate spaces, or you can create 4 or 3 or 2, or just open it up to one large one. So if there was a large function, right, where one of our community partners wanted to hold a conference or large meeting space, they can use that on the second floor and have access to this kitchen area.
Yeah.
So that way they can have an event catered.
Yeah, wow.
So, and our goal is that this building is being used 365 days out of the year, and that our community partners are leveraging it.
Yep.
And we're working together. So we
Yeah.
know that meeting spaces are critical in the Skowhegan area.
Yeah, they are, certainly.
Yeah. So, for
So it
functions.
looks like classes are changing.
Yes, so kids are moving from one learning opportunity to another. And we have a flexible scheduler, which allows us to advertise out learning opportunities, and then kids sign up for them, and kind of choosing their schedule.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a college.
Exactly. So,
setup.
yeah, and instead of being time-based, right, where you have to be in one class for an entire semester, you may only be in a learning opportunity for a week,
Yep.
may only be for a couple of days. So
Yeah.
we can fluidly move kids from one space to another
Yeah.
very seamlessly.
Yeah.
So, but it does feel like a college environment.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
the kids do earn open campus privileges if they're
Yeah, I've seen them around town.
yeah, so they get the freedom to take an hour off for lunch and recess, but also if there's a break time or whatnot, they can go out. Or for some kids that need a different learning environment, they may want to go to the library. So if they have open campus, they can go work on their project at the library.
Yep.
Or other parts of the community.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't mean that they have top grades, but it means that they do exhibit our kind of expectations for being a good citizen,
Yeah.
and that they are, making progress on their own work.
Yeah, because they're in town, they're representing their school, so you don't want them, causing mischief or anything,
No,
which I don't
no.
imagine any of them are.
No, so it's been just over a year and a half since our kids have accessed open campus.
Yep.
We have not had a single complaint
Yeah.
from any community member about our kids.
Yeah.
We're very upfront with them that it is a privilege, and they have to earn it. And we have some 12-year-olds that are on open campus, and we have some 16-year-olds who are not.
Yeah.
So it's not about age, it's about can they actually demonstrate what they need to be on open
Yeah.
campus.
Yeah.
So, but
Great. Well, should we move on and wrap this up?
yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's
So-
do that.
All right, so John, the last piece that we didn't see was one of these safes. So
Yes.
there's 4 of them inside the building, and we've repurposed those for storage. And all the locks have been disabled.
Okay.
So because
You're not going to be locking in your lunch or anything?
no, no, but the other piece that I just wanted to mention, because I know that we're going to be wrapping things up in a moment, is that that this year we have 10th grade in this building. Next year we're adding 11th grade, and then 12th grade will be our ultimate goal.
Yeah.
We do have 3 buildings, so which span from pre-K to now next year grade 11.
So you have Cornville downtown. What's number 3?
So last year we also opened what we call the early childhood campus
that's right.
over on South Factory Street.
Yes. Okay.
And that has 2 full day pre-K programs and then a K classroom.
And have I noticed that even if school is canceled, you still do
The before and after care.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So we offer childcare for all of our families. So any of our buildings, parents can access that because we know that working parents have to go to work.
Absolutely.
And we want to be very accommodating.
Yeah.
So we offer that for a reasonable price.
Yep.
So that way, all year round, parents have an option.
Yeah, great.
And we have kids that are coming to our pre-K program because we offer free busing
Yep.
with key bus stops in the area. But we have kids coming from St. Albans and Heartland, Madison. We do have kids in this building coming from Farmington,
Wow.
Belgrade, Waterville, Fairfield, Newport, and Industry, and everything in between.
Yep.
So
That's pretty amazing. So it's not only is it bringing in the local community, but the greater Central Maine community. So you've got kids that are intermingling, and again, that's once again, it's like being in college, because when I was at UMF, it's mostly students from Maine,
Right.
but they're all from different parts of the of the state, so you're learning about kids outside of just outside of your town. So I think that's another asset here, is you've got there are connections that are being made that hopefully will continue after high school, which is a lot like college, where you
Exactly.
make very good friends and you continue on after. So yeah, it's I appreciate you inviting us here and seeing how far you've come.
Yeah, and I look forward to having you guys come back once we open the other 2/3 of the second floor, so
Yeah.
you can kind of see that take shape.
Looking forward to seeing that, and also the basement, which will pertain to Channel 11 and our videographers. Things you've got planned for down there, so it's
and the
all
next
very exciting.
next couple of years, having the art studio and video production studio in the basement will be a critical piece of our programming.
Yeah.
So when we talk about that fabrication lab, the key piece one of the key pieces, because there's so many of them,
Right.
that I hold near and dear, is that if kids can imagine something, they can design it and they can create it, no matter whether it's ceramic, wood, or metal. If they have that creativity and energy to create something new, that's critical. And it doesn't have to be in isolation, like a 2-year course. It's relevant and meaningful.
And also, and this is something that you and I have talked about before, when you have students who are in Noah, who is 15, who's in high school age, he's doing something that he can directly see the value in something that he's doing. And also, this is something that I saw, it was posted by the Mid-Maine Technical Center and shared by Waterville Creates. When you give students opportunities to do something meaningful in their community, and it feels like you're a valuable part of the community, it gives them a reason to stay,
Right.
which is a major issue in Central Maine that we've been dealing with now for better part of 2 decades. Is all the best and brightest kids leaving to go explore opportunities elsewhere. But now, in my opinion, when they have things like this that are available, it's something that's gives them a reason to stay. So
Absolutely, and if we can look at instead of looking at it as Maine's greatest export is its youth,
Absolutely.
as Angus King has coined that term. If we look that our greatest retention is our youth,
Yeah.
and give them a purpose to be here and see that they can really impact their community.
yeah, resourceful, ingenuity, small town relationships, all those types of things. So my hats are off to you
Yes.
and all your efforts, and
Yes,
I
thank
appreciate you having us come and showing us around and keeping us up to date on everything that you're doing here.
Well, thank you. And just one final note to the audience is that right now we have our lottery. We're taking intent to enroll forms for our lottery, which will take place in March. So if we receive so many intent to enroll forms for a certain age level, then we hold a lottery for that. If we have, let's say for next year that we know that we have 4 slots open for an age level and we only have 3 or 4,
Yep.
then there doesn't have to be a lottery for that age level.
Yeah.
But our intent to enroll forms can be found on our website, or actually on our Facebook page.
Okay.
Easy link.
Yep, and that's Cornville Regional Charter School,
Yes.
just on
Yep.
Facebook.
And that applies to pre-K to grade 11 for next year.
Yeah, and what's your enrollment right now?
In October, our student count was around 282, and next year we're looking at about 330.
Cool.
So between the 3 buildings, our ultimate enrollment will be about 400 to 450.
Yeah.
And that'll be our maximum cap with our capacity.
Yeah, yep.
So,
Well, great.
All right.
Very much appreciated, and good luck to you and all your students and your facilitators and or your
Absolutely.
learners,
Yes.
excuse me. And looking forward to coming back.
great. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Travis.